You know that moment when your cat suddenly explodes across the house at 1 a.m. like it just remembered its training for something? Full speed, sharp turns, zero warning. It's funny, a little chaotic. But here's what most people never stop to think about. That burst of energy? It's not random. It's one of the clearest windows into your cat's inner world. And if you're not just living with your cat, but actually trying to understand them, this is where things start to click. Because those wild midnight zoomies, they're driven by instinct, pattern, and something much older than your home. Once you understand it, you'll never see those late-night sprints the same way again. Let's break it down. Chapter 1. The zoomies aren't random. Have you ever noticed when it happens? The house goes quiet, lights dim, everything slows down, and then suddenly, your cat turns into a rocket. That timing isn't coincidence. It's programming, ancient programming. Because your cat isn't built for a human schedule. They're built for something else entirely. Cats are crepuscular, which means their bodies are naturally wired to be most active at dawn and dusk. That pattern comes from their wild ancestors, the ones who hunted in low light, when prey was active and danger was easier to avoid. That instinct never disappeared. It just adapted to your home. So when your cat tears across the room, making sudden turns, pausing mid-run, then launching again, you're not watching random behavior. You're watching a rehearsal, an indoor version of hunting, tracking invisible targets, practicing escape routes, keeping reflexes sharp. Now picture it from their perspective. The house is finally quiet. No sudden movements, no loud sounds, no unpredictable energy. For your cat, this is the safest moment of the entire day. And that safety matters. Because instinct doesn't fully activate in chaos. It activates in calm. So when everything settles, their internal system switches on. And all that stored energy, it has somewhere to go. And once you see it that way, those midnight zoomies stop looking random. Because they're not chaos. They're timing. They're instinct. They're your cat reconnecting with something ancient. Right in the middle of your living room. Their guard drops, and their inner predator wakes up. So those chaotic midnight sprints, they're not silliness. They're survival skills being practiced in the safest place they know, your home. But instinct alone doesn't explain everything your cat does after dark. And that leads to something even more revealing. Chapter 2. The midnight sprint can be a release valve for pent-up energy. Here's something that might surprise you. Your cat's nighttime zoomies often have nothing to do with instinct and everything to do with stored-up energy finally snapping loose. You've probably noticed this pattern. Long nap, slow stretch, sudden explosion. That's not random. That's a pressure valve blowing open. Cats build energy like tightly coiled springs. When they don't get enough stimulation during the day, chasing, pouncing, problem-solving, that energy doesn't disappear, it waits. And night is when it erupts. Think of your cat stuck inside all day watching the same walls, same routines, same sounds. Then, as the house quiets, their brain wakes up and says, move. Now, that frantic hallway sprint, that's hours of unused instinct finally demanding release. Here's what most people miss. If your cat seems especially wild at night, it's usually a sign they're under-challenged during the daylight hours. Not bad behavior, not crazy, just unmet needs spilling over. And if this is clicking for you, hit that subscribe button. You're clearly someone who wants to understand your cat on a deeper level, and that's exactly what this channel is here for. But energy isn't the only thing your cat is trying to process when they rocket around the house. Sometimes those zoomies are pure emotion. Chapter 3. Zoomies can be how your cat processes stress or excitement. Picture this. Your cat darts from the bedroom to the kitchen, skids around a corner, then freezes like it's listening to something you can't hear. You've seen that moment. We all have. And it feels dramatic because it is. What most people don't realize is that zoomies aren't always happy energy. Sometimes they're emotional overflow. Cats don't vent the way humans do. They don't pace, rant, or text a friend. When something hits their nervous system a little too hard, good or bad, it comes out as movement. A new visitor, clears throat, a sudden noise, furniture moved 2 feet to the left, even a closed door. Small shifts till you can feel huge to them. Here's the key. That sudden sprint is your cat's system trying to reset. It's their way of saying, I need to shake this feeling off right now. You might notice patterns. Zoomies right after a loud sound. Zoomies after a tense interaction. Zoomies after using the litter box. Yes, that burst of speed is relief mixed with instinct. And here's a quick mini revelation. What looks like chaos is often emotional balance in motion. But if emotions can trigger these wild bursts, there's another layer that makes nighttime zoomies even more interesting. Your cat senses things you never will. Chapter 4. Nighttime zoomies often appear when your cat senses something you don't. Most people think their cat is sprinting around for no reason at all. They're wrong. There's almost always a trigger. You just can't hear it, see it, or feel it the way your cat can. Cats pick up on a hidden world. Their hearing reaches far beyond ours, catching tiny rustles in walls, soft footsteps outside, even shifts in airflow that signal movement. To you, it's silence. To your cat, it's activity. So, when your cat suddenly bolts down the hallway, it might not be randomness. It might be them reacting to something subtle. A tapping pipe, a mouse behind drywall, or a stray sound from the yard. And here's a fascinating detail. Many cats do a full lap of the house afterward. That's not chaos. That's patrol mode. Your cat is checking exits, territory, and familiar paths, the same way their ancestors protected themselves at night. If you've ever watched your cat stop mid-zoom and stare at a dark corner, that's not spooky behavior. That's a signal. They're picking up something you can't detect. But even with their senses on high alert, there's one motive behind zoomies that's even more personal. And most cat owners never recognize it. Chapter 5. Zoomies can be your cat asking for connection. You know that moment when your cat tears across the living room, then glances back at you like they're waiting for something? Let me guess, you've seen that look before, and it's not random. Most people assume zoomies are pure instinct or extra energy. But here's the truth almost no one talks about. Sometimes your cat is asking for you, not food, not treats. Cats are subtle communicators. They don't jump into your lap and make a speech about needing attention. Instead, they send signals. Soft, indirect, almost shy. A late-night sprint in your direction, a lap around the room you're in, a sudden burst of play right when you settle in. Here's the part that surprises a lot of owners. Studies show cats start their zoomies more often in spaces where their humans spend the most time. Living rooms, bedrooms, hallways you walk through. That's intentional. That's relational. And here's a small revelation you might recognize. When your cat zooms, they're inviting you into their wild, playful world. It's their way of saying, come be part of this moment with me. Most people miss that invitation. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And now that you understand this emotional layer, the next part reveals how to interpret the bigger message behind those late-night sprints. This might be the most important part because everything your cat does at night comes together right here. If your cat's zoomies ever feel confusing or out of control, there's something worth paying attention to. The context, the timing, the triggers, the patterns. You've probably seen 100 times without realizing they meant anything. Those chaotic sprints aren't misbehavior. They're communication, instinct, emotion, environment, connection, all wrapped into a burst of motion that looks wild, but carries a clear message once you know how to read it. And here's the shift most people never make. Your cat isn't acting out. They're letting you see the deepest parts of who they are. Their ancient wiring, their stress signals, their excitement, their bond with you. So, the next time your cat rockets through the hallway at 2 a.m., don't just laugh and roll over. Notice what sparked it. Notice where they run. Notice how they look at you afterward. Those tiny details reveal everything. If you learn something that helps you understand your cat better, tell me in the comments what kind of zoomies your cat does. Final thought, your cat's midnight madness isn't madness at all. It's meaning in motion.